Had a pretty good morning so far. Got a notification on euro dollar, or rather euro yen, I should say. I think we might have topped out for the week on that pair. But we got RBA and the BoE later on this week, so we're going to be focusing on doing some trade research for today's stream, and then we'll look at some charts for Australia and the Great British Pound, doing some FX analysis. As far as that trade I just mentioned, this is what it looks like right now. Everything looks so far so good. Got the short in right up there. And that's probably because, let's see here. Yep, that's 90% of the time your top for the week comes in roughly around here. So why not? Let's see, where's my OBS? Let's go ahead and change this. I was watching this video, Switzerland, the egalitarian nation of entrepreneurs. I got a clip notification from this group. Let's see here. Australia. So Westpac, we have here RBA and NFP to tell the tale for the Aussie. Senior currency strategist for Westpac. You know, read what this guy has to say. So let's see here. China policy headlines and the Bank of England decision will add what could be a lively week on Aussie dollar cross rates. Good. So let's see here. Any news? Dollar volatility. The main focus, of course, will be at the end of the week when the July employment report come out. All right, so when we get some more US dollar volatility, we don't have to wait till maybe Thursday, Friday. Aussie dollar drivers closer to home. There was some support early last week based on China's Politburo statement. Shanghai Composite jumped, which is good, so this is positive for Australia. Such global optimism is helpful background support for risk-sensitive Aussie. So, at least on a sentiment basis, Westpac is bullish on the Aussie right now. Let's see here. This calendar week has a flurry of data, but we have RBA on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. Economists appear to be closely divided on the cash rate decision for the RBA. The Bloomberg survey finding 18 of 30 respondents forecasting a 25 basis point increase to 4.35% on the cash rate. Market pricing, however, leans firmly to no change, only about 25% chance of a hike priced in. So it's dicey. Whether or not you actually get a hike or not for the RBA is dicey. I might be leaning towards a hike in all seriousness, but again, I totally agree with the interpretation that market participants have. Because, Lord, God forbid, you get any sort of economic slowing in the world between August and September. An RBA hike right now would be a policy mistake if the short-term growth that we're seeing right now is mostly for some countries in Europe and the United States. And China doesn't actually see follow-through on the growth over the next 2 months. But assuming that there is follow-through on that growth, an RBA hike would actually be quite beneficial for the Australian dollar. And it might make something like Aussie Euro a bit more attractive, considering Lagarde getting, dicey on whether or not they're actually at their peak interest rate. So that might make Aussie Euro an interesting setup. Let's go back to the charts real quick. Euro Aussie. Oh, check that out. We're getting close to likely lows. Yeah, I'd say once you start getting to, I'd say the middle of the 163 handle, so maybe you got another 50 or so pips of falling. Let's check out our pivot probability lows. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Check that out. 50% of the time, your low comes in roughly around here. And that's pretty much exactly where I said, hey, this is where you need to start looking at longs. Sometimes this is like shooting fish in a barrel. Super straightforward. I'll go ahead and put in a time-stamped arrow for the trade plan. And next week's odds look very bullish. Those are very bullish continuation odds. 35% of the time, your low for next week comes in above the weekly central pivot. That does look bullish, but considering the RBA, like if the RBA does hike, then my expectation is that this is supposed to be going lower. So these very small probability ranges actually get realized. I would only be going long on this pair tomorrow if the RBA actually came out flat. I mean, don't get me wrong, this thing could continue moving lower on the continued movement of growth accelerating in China and following through to Australia. But are we actually going to get that? I'm not 100% on it quite yet. I don't have an economic model for that sort of stuff, so I'd say getting the short on for this week, it's got to be past this S1 pivot. Like, I really don't know if getting a short on is a smart idea unless you start getting past until you get into the lower handle of 163, and even then you're dealing with all these tail risk odds. I'd just be super careful. I mean, Lord knows that there'll be people saying, hey guys, there's a range set up here. If I go ahead and I find parallel channel drawing, and then I extend this out to the right, something like that. I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense to anticipate this trend to continue, in all seriousness. But I'd just be, I would just be careful once you get to the upper half of the 163 handle here on Euro Aussie. Yeah. Let's see. What about taking it to a close? Oh, yeah. That definitely could happen. All right. I'll leave that be, and we'll reassess this come tomorrow, come the RBA meeting. Hey, Philios. Hey, Axie. Nice to see you guys in the chat hanging out. Now would be a good time that if you have requests to actually make and read through some more of the research. Let's see here. RBA decision and U.S. employment data are likely drivers of Aussie dollar. On the cross rates, Aussie euro firmed. Okie doke. And we got this. This is a breakdown by a guy named Zach Gross of the RBA's recent policy measures. Making a statement. What should the new statement on the conduct of monetary policy include? So this is a more technical breakdown of things. I recommend giving it a read because it's not a long analysis, but it's a good analysis on some trading expectations for the RBA ahead of us. That's it. There is also this bit of information here. This is from BNZ. This is a New Zealand institution. Let's see here. All right, RBA, Control F. RBA. NAB expects the RBA to hold rates tomorrow. Yep, they're repeating the same thing that Westpac is saying, that the decision itself is likely to be a close one. NAB remains at the view for the third quarter. Services inflation prints are likely to be challenging for the RBA as the latest award and minimum wage increases, energy price raises, insurance increases and rates, telcos, and postage fees all impact the same time as the economy shows more signs of slowing under the weight of previous interest rate increases. The inflation picture suggests the risk remains of some further tightening in Australia in the next few months, but at the same time, we are close to the peak in interest rates. All right. So when I said I didn't have an economic model, that's why I read these outlooks, because these guys do have an economic model. Let's see here. Plenty of data. All right, talking about retail. Okay, so there's reason to anticipate why the RBA would hike, but it might not be enough to move the needle to get them past the threshold for making the decision to hike. That's where probably some people are confused about whether the RBA is gonna do it or not gonna do it. Okay, so the PMIs for China will probably end up moving. Australia, days do the Australian PMIs come out? Let's go to our chart, economic calendar. And do I have China here? Let's see. That's Europe, Middle East, Africa, Asia Pacific. There's China. Okay, so we want Chinese PMI. Okay, so there's the manufacturing PMI. That's coming out later. So if that comes out at forecast or better than forecast, that could send this chart lower. RBA interest rate decision. Okay. Anything else out of China? Out of big ol' red. Okay, there's the composite in the services. Okay. And that's August 2nd. So that's on the Wednesday. Yeah, that's going to be after a bunch of this data here. Yeah, so Wednesday's going to be a particularly volatile day, and I'd say that'd probably be the catalyst where if you do get a move lower, it's going to depend on these two here for the Aussie pairs. So let's look at our Aussie pair here, because I think there'd probably be, oh my, yeah, you're already at 80% of the time you close the week below here. Yeah. Although you do have a peak in your distribution up here, so let's go ahead and load up our high data. Whoa. Yeah, we're already pushing it. We could go up maybe another 40-50 pips. But if we go up to the 40-50 pip level we're dealing here, that's our 90% probability. You can see from the tooltip. Yep, right around here. That'd be the shorting opportunity. And I'd say that is not the most unreasonable thing in the world, but could be topping out right now. It could go up to here. I would just simply say that this area right here is your threshold. We can go ahead and load up the high pivot probability odds for the week. Yep. So come Wednesday, probably move up to here. You get probably some move that looks like that. And then takes you down to the close like this. Yeah. Something along those lines would be my baseline expectation. So let's see here. No requests. All right, I'll go back down to outlooks. ECB indicating that they would pause or hike when they return from the summer break. Next meeting, September 14th, so it's going to be in a while. It's relatively quiet. All right, so a whole lot of nothing. Okay, here's the UK stuff. All analysts in the Bloomberg survey expect a 25 basis point hike on Thursday. The rates market is more than fully priced in for a 25 basis point move. So there could be surprise, upside, 50 basis point move again. Still hanging on to a 1/3 chance that the BoE could surprise with another 0.5% high, literally in the next sentence. The BoE also releases the results of their latest decision maker panel on Thursday, revealing what business expects for inflation and wage growth, especially pertinent for the bank. Okay, so we're going to be getting some information on future trading expectations on Thursday, which will be especially useful for us. And then you also have a BoE speech. So this is just a long... This is a long week. Yeah, this is a go long week. Hey, look at that trade plan. Oh, Lord, that is very high pivot probability, high odds. Going like up there. Yeah. Real quick, what are our... and our distributions are also saying you go here or you go up to around here. I absolutely would not be surprised to see us reach 1.3. I would absolutely not. So this is going to be around Thursday. Yeah. This is probably going to be a bit more on the stickier side of things, I think. Yep. You can clearly see that bimodal setup, right? Very clearly. Here's one peak. Here's a second peak. That's a modality of 2 for this distribution. So something like this looks reasonable to me. And that looks very similar to the setup for the RBA. Okay. Oh, by the way, sorry, I forgot to switch over my chart. Yeah. So this is what I was looking at. I was looking at these pivot probability highs for the week, It's something like more than, what, 87, 83? I think it's 83% of the time you go above that R0.5 weekly pivot for this week. Actually, I need to do a little bit of double checking. Yep, these odds are actually not correctamundo, but they're still good. Yeah, they're flipped. Yeah. So getting your high up here, still in the cards. But in all seriousness, once you do go up here, there's a probability gap right there. So in the event you cross this R1.5 weekly pivot, you treat this kind of like a stock gap, where because 0% of the time in the last 22 years, the top for this particular week has been between R1.5 and R2, assuming that pattern holds, that probability holds, once price goes past R1.5, you immediately anticipate the move up to the next most likely zone. And that would be like way up here. Yeah, that would be an insane trade, huh? So there'd be a long trade here, because that would be a bullish threshold. Okay, set up an alert. All right. And then otherwise, we can still stick with the nominal setup, which is up a bit and then potentially going sideways, unless you do see some more significant dollar strength. Real quick. Set that to 4,000. Can't wait for the next update to this indicator to freaking come out already. Yep, not totally unlikely that the low is actually in quite yet. Maybe you get one more dip down and then the move up. And then something like that. Let's see here. I see you guys posting in the chat. Go ahead and keep talking in the chat and posting charts for me to check out, and analysis of your own, commentary of your own if you have commentary. Absolutely appreciate it. Okie doke. So with that in mind, let me go ahead and check out the chat here. Only the report we can see. No, I should have fixed it by now on the stream. I can see it. Hey Joe, I have no strong bias this week. Waiting for some guidance, Ricardo. Gotcha. Last week was a good one for me though. Awesome. Posting the money bags. Money bags, U30. Alrighty. Yeah, but which exchange? Which exchange? Ay, 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 ay. I mean, this is just Dow, so. Let's see. I mean, how much data does this exchange has no data? Capital.com. No data. Pepperstone, come on. Pepperstone's got to have data. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Owanda. Owanda's got to have data. Yeah. Good old Owanda. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, this thing's going up. Yeah, that's what happens when the tail risk gets calculated. So, something along that line. Yeah, this thing's going to R1 or just below R1. This thing's going to R1 and that's that. This thing's not going that high. Oh, wow. another bimodal setup for the closing odds. So I'd be careful because the most recent data says you could end up extending higher or extending lower, but the pivot probabilities say you effectively, the low is in already here for the week. That's what it's saying. And you get a move that looks like this. And I don't know if I would assume that to actually be the case if this China economic news actually came out all right. Gotcha. Let's see. You want me to look at gold, XE? Yeah, sure, I can look at gold. I'm gonna timestamp these though. Yeah, but there are some particular risks. Yeah, this one's got some particular. I'd say once you start going above this area right here, kind of in the middle of this R1, R1.5 area. Yeah, somewhere in this 35, 760. Once you start going past there, it's like, hey, hold on to your butt. You could be going up to 36K. So just based off where most of the probabilities are, doing a nominal trade plan, this is just the baseline expectation. I think I did a gold trade plan not too long ago. Yeah. That was great. But it hit exactly where I wanted it to hit. I don't know, does that technically count as a loss? You think that technically counts as a loss or a win? What do you guys think? Because if you just look at this, it says, oh, it lost, but then it was about half a pip off from the target, so who knows, maybe this, I mean, I didn't trade this. I think for demonstration purposes, this is a pretty good thing to have. Oh, good stuff. Yeah, the close odds are all over the place, either way up here above R1 or down here below central pivot. Bullish range bias has good odds, but we're already at our likely bias, so range probabilities come in. Yeah, so the top's probably not in. The low for the week could be in on gold. Maybe you see another dip back into the 1980s. Yeah, with the right, I mean, even if you had a basic trailing stop, or if you were just concerned about it, like this is super straightforward. Yeah, the low could be in already, but who's to say that you don't come back and test this again? I'd say once you go past, yeah, once you start going past 1980, you can risk going down to like the mid 1960s. But again, I don't think, you know, things are pretty risk on right now, I would say. Things are pretty risk on right now. And we did hit the likely low already, so really, this is kind of more of a day trading scenario at this point. If the bias is long, the setup now is to look at this thing on the day-to-day. And it went right to where, I mean, look at that. Either you were buying here and your stops down here, yeah, below 1980. 1977, That's where 90% of the time you get your low above that level. Yeah, that looks pretty straightforward to me as a long. And then I don't think the top is in for the day quite yet. You do have some room higher potentially. You could probably go to 2005 today. $2005 is in the cards on gold. So this is just something that has to get managed on the day-to-day to take advantage of maybe going into the upper 2010s range here on gold, and then, you know, cross your fingers. You go past the lower part of the 2020 handle, so call it like once you start trading in the lower part of the 2020 handle, you need to start asking some serious questions of, is there enough volatility to take us up into like 2030, 2040? So if you get to into the low 2020s, yeah, the mid 2020s here, yeah, you can see how it goes from this very bright red color to this slightly less bright red color. So this is nominally where most of your tops come in, and then this is a threshold when the color steps down, where you have still some decent probabilities, right? I mean, from here to here is about 30% of your probabilities. So it's just that 30% gets spread over a much wider price range. And you have a lot more uncertainty as to exactly telling where the top is going to come in, because you have similar probability spread across a wider price range. So even getting along right here and taking it up somewhere as high as it'll go with a trailing stop on it is not the worst idea in the world, but it is generally a more risky trade to take. If you're already having a long bias and looking at these daily range probabilities and then taking, you know, these buys based off the low odds, like if you're buying these low odds on the day-to-day and trying to take those day-to-day buys on the low odds to these swings here on the weekly level, I mean, hell, we can even check out a monthly. I mean, we can't check out a monthly yet because tomorrow is when the month shows up. Yeah, so we're going to have to wait one more day before we can look at the monthly pivot probability for gold. Yeah, not a problem. Thanks for saying thanks. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Thoughts on yen pairs after the news on Friday. A lot of the yen pairs are in very good probability spots, actually, for getting short the yen. Let's check up on the euro yen short. Yeah, so I got short for the week on euro yen. I mean, it's a relatively very, very, very small stop because this is where all your tail risks start to occur for the week. I mean, look, if we didn't open the current trading week up like 160 pips and go directly to the 90th percent probability of the high returns distribution for the week, like if we weren't at this level right now, I would not be short this. So I'm thinking, at least on this pair, yeah, this is just something I can hold potentially to the end of the week. I don't know what it's going to do for the following week. For all I know, actually, no, this is long yen, right? Sorry, I must have misspoke there when I said I was short yen. No, I'm short euro yen. That's what I was going through on my head. Yeah, this is not. I mean, you can go ahead and we can check out actually an index of the yen here. Where is it? There's our index for the yen. So when this thing goes up, the yen gets weaker, and when this thing goes down, the yen gets stronger. Okie doke. Do we have a whole lot of historical data on this? It seems like we do. Good on the monthlies. Okay, let's check out the week. Yeah, we're at a likely top for the week, just across the board on the yen pairs. Good opportunity for a long on the yen. As far as closing odds, though, yeah, it's also pretty good on the closing odds side of things. Yeah, I'd stay long the yen. Just net across the board, I'd just stay long the yen. Don't get me wrong, you could have a movement where the yen continues to get weaker from here, but a big part of why the yen could see some more strength, a big part of that story is the JP 10-year yield. And that thing just keeps going up and up and up. I'm going to grab a quick little picture here. In Discord, Plan the Profit Discord, first link in the description. Where is it? Where is it? There we go, Discord. So check this out. This is the 10-year JGB yield. This is from Weston Nakamura's video. If you actually click here, it'll take you right to the video. But this is the general chat. This is a good visualization of what the BOJ actually did when they changed their monetary policy last week. And if you look at this, that's the 10-year we were just looking at. And this shows you how the 10-year JGB yield has been moving as the Bank of Japan has been changing the bounds around which the yield can move around 0. And now they've set their bound to 1%. And if you understand what yield, you're just seeing dollar signs going along yen at this point. Like, the fact that this thing can now go all the way up 1%. Like, that's a lot of movement. It's a lot of movement. Oh. So, yeah. This is a time to be careful on the yen pair. That's for sure. I'm going to go back real quick to Discord. Every single week, I do a trading assessment survey. And I ask people to tell me, okay, for the upcoming week, do you think on a series of 5 different assets, so we look at Bitcoin and oil, bonds, dollar, euro dollar, on an assortment of different assets, I ask, okay, do you think next week we will end the week above or below the close? And what's the probability you think we will end next week higher or lower than where we opened, right? So this here is the survey results. How likely is it that DXY closes next week above the current price? And a lot of people are bullish on the DXY. How likely is it that the S&P closes next week above the current price? And you have some bull, but most people are moderately bullish on it. And this survey is free. You'll get notified when it comes out every Friday or Saturday. Sorry, my internet just like dropped off. Can you guys post some money bags in the chat if I'm still here? Yeah, my internet just dropped out for a second there. I'm sorry about that. Don't know what's been going on recently with the internet, but it hasn't been stable, to say the least. I'm just currently looking at my chat and waiting to see if there's any sort of response. Sorry for the lag, guys. Anyways, I'll assume that everything keeps going along fine. All right, cool. Cool. So we want to out the charts. So let's go to DXY. So the assumption here is that we will close next week above here. So you guys are bullish on DXY. And I'll color this orange to indicate that's the survey. And that's the survey timestamp. So up. And then the next one was S and P. Let's just do the ES. And the expectation is to still keep going up. And we got so close to hitting that target, but nope, no cigar. Thank God for that stop, though. That stop was actually quite well placed. So this is for that week, bullish. Now the next one was what? Oil. I'll go ahead and actually bring this up. So this is the other three assets that we did. You guys probably won't be able to see this super clear. But this top one is how likely is it for oil to close above, will close next week above the current price? And your answers were really wide and varied. There's a lot more uncertainty about how oil is actually going to perform next week across everyone. However, as far as Bitcoin goes, a lot of you guys were super bearish, just straight up. A lot of you guys were like, yeah, you guys were most certain about Bitcoin going down next week. For this current week, you guys think Bitcoin's going to go down the most. And then as far as bonds go, yeah, you think yields are going to go higher. That seems pretty straightforward. So let's go back to the chart. Go to Bitcoin. So you guys are bearish on the Bitcoin. And then on, I believe, oil, you guys were pretty moderately bullish. You guys were, I mean, this looks insanely bullish to me. I don't know what you guys are talking about. But you guys had a lot of uncertainty in the survey. Here, I'll just modify this. I mean, look at that trend. Holy smokes. Like, it's just gone up and away. High positive autocorrelation. That's what I see. Okie doke. Move lower before it moved higher, yeah. All right, good to see that I'm still on. Let's see. And then ZB, which is the US Treasury bond futures. Guys were bearish on this one. Bearish. And so far on the day, you've been right. All right, I'll go ahead and take some requests if you guys got to check out. I'll go ahead and put on the music again. Ba, 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 ba. I could go ahead and I can bring up more outlooks. Let's see, is there anything else here? Maybe there's something from Seb on the RBA coming out. Euro area outlook, temporary uptick in economic activity, Euro area inflation. Yeah, nothing new. There's this one here. And they didn't write anything about the RBA. Yeah, not a whole lot there. We can check out ASB, which is actually another group. I'll go ahead and pause the music real quick. Let's see. I'm more bullish on oil than DXY. DXY break below its last year lows. Dude, when you're typing, it looks like you got autocorrect on because you typed low as lows, like the home improvement store. Let's see here. Nope. RBA. Still, it's touch and go whether the RBA pauses again this week. While CPI was benign, employment was resilient. There's still a juxtaposition between Australia and New Zealand, with the RBA potentially lifting rates after pausing, while the RBA is most likely, RBNZ is most likely on hold. Okay, well, that'll an idea. We can go ahead and look at New Zealand. And then we'll call it there. So, based on the survey, you guys were bullish on DXY, so let's go with that bias on NZD USD. Yeah. And that one worked out all right enough. Let's see here. Let's go to our 12-hour chart. Let's bring up our range probabilities. Yeah, maybe you can eke out a little more upside performance here, just above the 210 handle, and then you take it down to the lower 61 handle. So that'd be the short setup. But real quick, let's load up our pivot probabilities. Look at our high odds. Bullish range doesn't look great. Yeah, see, it's probably going to go up into this spot right around here. That lines up with our range probability highs right here at the edge. Yeah. So, what is it? A short above this R 0.5 looks fairly reasonable. And then take it to a likely low. Load up the low data. Oh yeah, check that out. Yeah, I feel pretty good about these probabilities here. Pretty good. All right. What would be the stop? Let's do some risk management. What would be the stop on this particular setup here? Ideally somewhere closer towards R1.5, right? So if we hide that, our 90th probability, or 90th percent probability, is roughly around here. Oh, already had the stop loss right around there. So somewhere around 62.6, 62.7 before you start getting tail risk stuff. So like just this prior high. So yeah, something like that. And then taking it down to like there. At least that's the dream. Might not actually happen. On the more conservative side, maybe if you're taking this to end of week, you end up just closing here or closing way down there. Yeah. It's really going to depend on the US data and how well Australia does, because a lot of New Zealand and Australia are pretty darn correlated. Let's actually check out Aussie New Zealand real quick to help us make that determination. We're right smack dab in the middle of the entire range here. How about for pivot probabilities? Yeah, there's still some upside here, relatively. So Aussie... Yeah, Aussie seems like it'll probably be the better setup, right? So this whole Aussie setup seems a lot more reliable than this setup here. I mean, I'll leave it here to show that I did the analysis, but other than that, I don't know. Let's see here. I type slow sometimes. Gotcha. Alrighty, you guys. I think we've covered a good deal of stuff to prepare ourselves for the BoE and the RBA, mostly the RBA meeting. I think it's probably time to end the stream. So let me go ahead and play the music. And if you want, I'll actually be in the Discord. Let's see. Discord. I'll be here in the general voice chat right here. So if you want to hang out with me, go over some charts, go over trade plans, whatnot, ask me questions about anything I went over today in the stream, here I am. Just join the Discord server. I'll be right there. Links in the description. If you want access to these indicators, just go to the WAP store for boss benchmarks. That's my thing. $100 a month. You get the trading group. You get the indicators. There's like 5 indicators you get. And I'll walk you through how to use them all. Alrighty, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Same time, 4:30 Pacific AM, 7:30 Eastern AM. And we'll be going over the outcome of the RBA meeting and see how our trade plan has progressed. Alrighty. I'll see you guys tomorrow in a bit.